Hello people, it's Shifty here and we're outside of the Eagle Street Conference Centre in Brisbane. I'm sitting next to Jonh Mullen from Due Process. How you doing, John?
Doing pretty well, mate.
What would you say was actually the ethos and the kind of driving force behind the label?
It's not predicated on like a dance label or a rock label or anything like that. And I guess really that's one of the drivers behind it, that we all love lots of different music, and that's kind of what we want to work with. And so it's essentially what turns us on is kind of what we're going to get involved in. And I guess that's, you know, you've got to be loving what you're doing, or there's no point in doing it.
How would you characterise what's actually going on within the record industry at the moment?
The development, I think indies are the place to be, and they seem to have much more time and focus and energy to dedicate on developing an act, whereas the kind of term of artist development seems to go out the window when you're talking about, you know, major companies. To some bands, you know, the door's sort of been closed at major labels, and then the DIY factor of just having to go and do it and believing in themselves and finding other avenues, and it's kind of that sort of drive to sort of succeed, I guess, really. Like, you know, the Whitlams, John Butler, obviously. I mean, the Waifs. I mean, the Waifs were sort of a folk touring live act that had been on the scene for a long time, and they had such a following out there, but really kind of no one knew about them until they sort of broke through with a couple of tracks on radio. And I guess that's a whole other issue going into radio, but I think they're a great example.
In terms of commercial radio, what can actually be done to try and make a breakthrough?
That's the big question, mate. I mean, my belief is well, we could go back to the Waifs kind of thing. It's generating momentum, I guess. It's having a great song and then just being able to generate enough momentum and kind of reach critical mass, I guess. It's selling out rooms. It's getting great reviews. It's adding up all those sort of pressure points, I guess, really, and just kind of feeding it down to commercial radio, and hopefully they're going to wake up and hear it, you know, connect with it one day.
I know there's a lot of people out there that would really appreciate your advice in terms of how a grassroots act here in Brisbane can actually start getting attention from someone like Due Process.
You know, if you have the Trube and you're selling out the Troubadour and you're sort of generating some good live following, and you know, you're getting those good reviews, and it's the same thing. It's just generating that heat and excitement around an act, I guess. And how you do that is kind of tough, but for me, it starts with some great songs. Be prolific with your songwriting. Hopefully, your ratio of good songs to bad is going to improve. I think we have a range of songs that you can draw on, so you're not just too set in, you know, one type of song. You know? So that's what I'm looking for, I guess, when I'm want to listen to a band as well.
Thank you very much for your time, John.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for braving the rain. Work on filling up those venues, get some cheerleaders, and before you know it, a label might well come knocking on the door.